Hello, this is Elliot W6EL, and I want to demonstrate for you today the brand new Transmit Audio Processor built into wfview, which is designed to make you sound even better than you expect. To access the Transmit Audio Processor, you need to press here where it says Transmit Audio Processor. Now note that this feature is only available on radios that have an audio path into wfview, so that means network audio only. If it's a USB radio accessed over the network, that's fine as well. This is the audio processor window. You can expand and collapse different sections, so if it doesn't fit on your screen, just look for this little arrow over here and you can press it to make different parts smaller and larger as needed. Now the first step when you're setting this up is to go into your audio system preferences and make sure your audio levels are good coming into the computer. And so for me, using Linux, that means I go into here, sound settings. If you use Windows or Mac, you'll go into the control panel or settings for that. And right here, I have selected my headset as the input device, and I got the gain turned up pretty loud here. This computer has pretty low gain audio input, so it doesn't really reach the level I would like it to reach. But anyway, you need to make sure this is not too far out of family before you begin this process. So I've done that now. I'm going to close this. And now we're going to go into wfview. And probably the first thing I'll do is turn on the transmit audio metering. Note that this is available even when you're not transmitting. This is just the volume of the stream that would go to the radio, and actually is going to the radio all the time. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over so that we can hear the audio that would go out to the radio. I'm using a TS890 right now over the network. But the way I'm going to achieve this is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to press Enable Self-Monitoring so that my sound comes through wfview and back out. But before I do that, I suppose what I'll do is I'll disable all the effects I'm using. So we'll start with just a plain sound, just the way it comes into the computer. And I need to switch in OBS so that you guys are hearing the other audio stream. Let me do that real quick. Okay, so you're hearing the radio, but hold on just a minute. I'm going to press this, and you're going to hear me mixed with the radio, and then I'm going to press Mute RX Audio. And so now you're just hearing me. I've set the volume at, like, what is this, 96%? And so the first thing I'm going to do is set the noise gate up. And to make this even more interesting, what I'm going to do with the noise gate is I'm going to turn on an air filter in the room. So I'm going to start by turning on noise gate to remove the sound of the background. And that can be significant sometimes, especially if you're running an amplifier and you have a lot of power coming out in between words. You don't want all this power coming out, right? So plus you don't want to sound like a leaf blower. I'm going to turn on the noise gate. I will start with the threshold all the way down. This is the level at which it cuts out your voice. So turn this on. Let's see how that sounds. I'm going to take a listen real quick on my headphones. You can hear it kind of cutting it in and out. So let's just raise this a little bit. There we go. So now the noise gate is functioning so that it turns on when I speak and it turns off in between words. Test, test, 1, 2. All right, the next step we want to do is to turn on the turn on the compressor. And so now we have the compressor turned on, and you'll notice that test, test, 1, 2. I sound a good bit louder. And we can adjust the compressor for maximum amount of compression that we want to handle. It says 96:1 here. That's not really correct. I have to calibrate these sliders. Maybe I'll do that later. Maybe I'll leave them alone. But it's pretty high compression ratio. You can see the gain reduction down here metered and the output level. The output level is also shown over here where we show the radio level. Test, test, 1, 2, W6EL testing. And if you'll notice, I've increased the input gain to 10 dB. And that really helps drive the compressor into harder compression, which I think sounds really nice on the air. And the last thing I'm going to do here is turn on the multi-band EQ. And this I've already adjusted for how this microphone and my voice sound, and I think this is a pretty good setting for me. For DX, I might go for something a little more narrow with a little bit less bass. For the demonstration purposes today and to make it sound just excellent, I'm going to leave it cranked up like this. You have the option in wfview if you want to put the EQ after the compressor, you can do that. Just be aware that with the EQ coming after the compressor, anything that you boost will raise the level significantly, and you might not want to do that. So that's how you set up the EQ. You're going to want to listen to each slider, so maybe just like turn each one up a little bit, turn it down, get an idea of how it sounds. Test, test, 1, 2, test, test, 1, 2. And also remember that most radios have a pass band that's going to cut off somewhere around these two sliders here, 2.5, 3K around here. So don't even bother going higher, even though the audio transport system does actually send the radio bandwidth that is wider. You're not going to transmit that audio, so that's okay. Now, in terms of setting your levels, once you have this and you see that your level is hitting almost full peak, you want to do a transmission on a dummy load and check out the ALC action of the radio. Okay, so here we are on the IC7610. This radio I feed off the Kenwood TS890's receive output, so it doesn't actually have a way to transmit onto an antenna. It's hooked up to a dummy load on antenna 1. That's what I have here. And that's how we want to do our testing here. So you see stations on here, but the dummy load is what's being used for transmission, okay? So we'll switch over to transmit. Test, test, 1, 2, W6EL testing. Very good, no SWR. And you may or may not know this, you can double click here and you can select transmit audio, and you'll see that metering even if you're not transmitting. That's okay. And I think actually I want to change over to ALC. That's right, okay. So ALC is what we want to adjust here. I'm going to put the power at 50 watts into the dummy load. That should be good. Okay, so now we've got ALC selected. And what we want to do is increase this output gain until ALC reaches 100. On some radios, it actually can't go over. And that's the case with the 7610. It just won't. So you just keep turning up the output gain until the ALC reaches 100. Audio, 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 audio. There we go. And now if we've done our homework, every syllable should be reaching approximately 100%. Testing, testing, 1, 2, W6EL testing. Testing, 1, 2, 3. And in wfview, these lines, the thin one here is the average, and the fat one is the peak. So we can see that the average and peak are pretty close together, and that's what really good compression will do for your audio. Testing, testing, 1, 2, W6EL testing. So that's how you adjust audio with wfview for transmission. I hope you're enjoying wfview as much as I am. This is the program I always wanted to make. And I'll say 7 threes. Catch you on the air sometime.